Okay.
Hello guys, I'm back. My name is Jefferson Costa. I'm a chemical process engineer with expertise in plant design, and today I am with Sazib Hassan. Sorry, Sazib, you said how to pronounce your name, but Hassan, it's much easier to me to pronounce, and because I'm a Portuguese speaker, so sorry for that. But thanks a lot for accepting my invitation. We have some troubles, and but in fact we are here together to talk about Industry 4.0. And I know something very an overview what it is, but how to apply that to chemical engineering, it's new to me. I'm not familiar with this in my daily job. So I would like you to say some words about you, and after that I will start with some questions. And just you say something. We already have people in our audience, and I have Saida from Azerbaijan, so we are in a we are to the world. So, my friends, please, it's your time to say something.
Okay. So thank you, audience, and thank you, Jefferson, for giving me this opportunity here to introduce myself. I've been working in refinery of Pakistan last 6.5 years, and I'm NIBOSH IBC certified, and also a chartered engineer from Engineering Council UK. I did my master's graduation from NAD University of Engineering and Technology, and after that I joined the operations job, and then I switched to process engineering. And I'm also SPENTEC certified user. I recently gave an exam of SPENTEC, which is of 4 hours duration, as most of you guys know about it. And that's all about my introduction. And if you
Nice.
further know me, then you can add me on LinkedIn and check my profile. Thank you very much.
Yeah, your profile in LinkedIn has a lot of information, and I get impressed uh, about that, and we will discuss a little bit. And Hassan, I have a question that I do to everyone that is my guest is about the first job. Did you get the first job, and how for you how it was the transition from a graduate engineer to be a chemical process engineer?
Okay. So after the graduation, after passing 10 days of my graduation, I fortunately got an opportunity in the largest refinery of Pakistan as an intern. I went there and did my job. One of manager there gave me an assignment, and I did it very well, and he offered me a job. So during the second week of my internship in the refinery, I got job to follow on. So the first job was little bit related to the operations, and in this job, I went through various operations. For every engineer, it is compulsory to go through the process lineups and start and perform the initial calculations of the units. I was on the crude unit, and I did some calculations related to the furnace efficiencies and these calculations. And then after 4 to 5 months in operations, which which understands which created my understanding related to the startups and shutdowns as well. Then uh, because in the initial phase you are always advised by the senior plant managers and engineers, and you don't need to worry about what how you perform there, because during the 2 years of training, you don't need to prove any, you are in the learning experience, and you just need to work on yourself. And then I moved to the other refinery in the technical services department. Fortunately, I got an opportunity in another organization, but I preferred this refinery technical services. And then I have been working here from last 6.5 years. Related to the process engineering, I've secured the golden title of process engineering last year, and it was a very amazing and interesting experience which I never had. And if I talk about the process engineering in my organization, it is linked with the process monitoring, management of change, project development. It also covers the you can say the utility and override chemical treatment programs. So process engineering field is very vast and it has many roots, and out of which you have to work in a specific manner. Like when you join any organization, you have been assigned a unit, and then you have to work. So that's it.
Nice, nice. And the Derek click my attention here, saying that we have also people from Brazil, and we have people from India, and also from India, and I think that the other one is India also. And you compared to some of my guesses, you have a short career, but it got my attention that you have many achievements, and you said some of them. My question is, did you plan your career, or did you prepare to get all of these achievements, or it was happening and you got the opportunity that happened and something like that? And guys, please let us know where are you from, and if you have questions, let in the chat. Some of them I will address to Hassan. Okay? So Hassan, did you
Okay,
plan
so
your career?
yeah. Obviously, in the initial 2 years, you need to adjust yourself in the team by learning, and then what base your performance, you get the opportunity to prove yourself. Because during the learning period, every day is a new challenge for you, and you have to prove your skills what you study in the university. Then after securing the full-time job, then you have to become an engineer who has enough responsibility to perform their duties, which is assigned in the organization. So you have to plan your career in the initially, because when you enter in any organization, nobody will help you to understand the concepts very easily. You have to work on it. You have to prove that you have enough knowledge to do that job. Years, you need to focus continuously on the CPD, continuing professional development. And then you can analyze that if you are that much skilled, then you go for certifications. After or the certifications which involves the exams, because exams is like a challenge, and you challenge yourself to sit in an exam and prove to be honest to yourself and become successful. So uh, if you have guts and you can difficult targets easily, then you can do it very well. And as far as my plans are concerned, I usually plan things, but most of the things which I cover is due or with the help of my organization, which supports me to do that certifications. Like for example, if I talk about the Bosch IGC certification, which is a health and safety certification, which is the if you are working in oil and gas, and it is therefore necessary to you must know the HSC, because there are the things you must know related to HSC, because HSC is the first priority in any organization. So as you work in a good organization, the organizations grow you with by giving you various assignments as well as the trainings. So most of my certifications I did it with my own interest and my own courage, like the chartered engineer certification. Because if you see the market trends, the chartered engineers are normally with an experience of around 15 to 20 years. Or or around 10 years, but not below 5 years. And because if I consider my experience without training, then it's accurately 5 years. So in that 5 year, I achieved the golden title in process engineering, and this could not be achieved without a plan. So that's it.
You mentioned the Chartered Chemical Engineering certification, and you talk about that a little bit. But I would like to know more about this because I have seen that you are VJ Sarati are also, but I'm not familiar with that. And sometimes people ask me how I get how what I must do to get the Chartered certification. I would like to you to explain what it is and how is the step by step to or the prerequisites to have this kind of certification.
Jefferson, can you wait for 2 minutes because uh, they, there's a sound behind which we call azan.
Okay, okay. How many minutes do you need?
2 minutes, two
Okay,
only.
okay. Be with me. Just turn off the audio, and we can wait for that. And uh, as we wait for that, I will talk to the audience. Okay, no problem, no problem, my friend. Guys, thanks a lot for being here. And Zadib is in Pakistan, and it's very nice what internet allow us to do. So right now, we set a time that was best for both of us, but this kind of issue happens because we have multicultures here. He is from Pakistan, I'm from Brazil, and that's not an issue. The important thing is that he shared or he reserved some time to talk to us here today. So 2 minutes, it's more than enough time to wait for what will present to us. And I will use this time to see if we have people from other places. So we have Pali from India, and thanks Pali. These are my expectation with the in-process interviews is to have at least one chemical process engineer from each country. In this way show to you and to everyone that studies chemical process engineering that we are quite the same. The fresh engineer in Australia has the same kind of issue from the process engineer that is finishing his course in India or in Germany or in the Mexico and something like that. If you go to the list, I already talked to people from Mexico, from France, now Pakistan, and also from India. So it's very nice to show to all of you the multicultural uh, behavior of each one. But in the end, we are all chemical process engineer. And I what I motivate, but what I try to do to my students is that you must think globally. Don't think only locally because as chemical process engineer we need to deal or interface with people all over from the world. You need to start a process and the supplier is from another country. So it's very important to be familiar with very kinds of cultures. And Hassan, when you're ready, just ask me to shut my mouth
Yes, I'm
because,
ready.
okay, my
Yeah,
friend.
I'm ready. Thank you very much for waiting.
Okay.
Okay, so your question was that what is chartered chemical engineer and what chemical process engineer must do to get there. Okay,
Yes.
so let's answer this question. As you know that chartered chemical engineer is a golden title which is only acquired by ICAM. ICAM is a UK chemical institute. It's a society which provides this title, and it's only given by them, and it is internationally recognized. Like you talk about the professional engineer, then it is equivalent to that, but it is international. Like if you write after your name as member of ICAM, then it shows that you are registered ICAM, your education as well as your experience and also your competency level. And if engineer, so you can use the word PENG, and it's linked with your local institutions. Like for example, if I talk about Pakistan, then there is PEC, Pakistan Engineering Council, which provides you this status, and this is considered as you can say the golden title also, and it can be get by one through sitting in an exam which is called engineering practice examination. After that, you have to enter or appear in an interview with the panel. Then after that, if you clear both of this step, then you can get the professional engineer title. And for the CENG, means that when you apply for the chartered engineer application, you will be asked to write that if you want further to register yourself with the Engineering Council UK, in addition with the ICAM, then it's your choice whether you want to register or appear for the assessment for both institutes, or you want to go for individually. So I did. I went for both titles. And so what is that, and how to write an application for that? So let me go in detail. Like if you think that you are 5 or 6 years experience and you know much about process design, process safety, and you have a command in chemical thermodynamics and reaction engineering, then it's time for you to sign in for on their website, and what you need to do is to go and sign in yourself by filling the form, and you will have to upload your educational documents including your CV. CV plays an important for the initial scrutiny. They will see that how much experience you are through your CV. And after initial phase, the ICAM team will notify you that now if you are moving forward, as you are moving forward, you have to submit first the technical report. For technical report are for those which graduated from the institutes which is not recognized by or accredited by the ICAM. So you have to submit an additional technical report based on your projects which you have done in the past. The only requirement is that you have the experience individually on that project. So you have to write a technical report. Sample technical reports are available on the website. Then you don't need to worry about. After that, your technical reports have passed. They ask you to write a competence and commitment report. Their report template is also available on the website, and what you need to do is to just to download the template and fill the report as per your experience. You have to given your practical experience in writing in the report. So there are many sections in the report you have to fill. The first one is related to the technical, then it comes to the process safety, ethics, and to many questions on these two reports. Okay, these two reports now you have submitted, and next step is that they will ask you to appear in an interview, which is peer review interview. It means that the field in which you are, like there are many fields and there are many professionals available, which is taking these interviews as a volunteer through ICAM, and the ICAM will see that what are the relevant guys experience related to your experience. Then the ICAM will notify you the person's name and contact number to contact that persons and set an interview. Okay, so these two reports which you have submitted earlier, you have to answer the questions which maybe you missed that in that report. They will write it down all the questions from the reports and ask you in 2 to 3 hours continuously. Mostly the technical report interview and CNC report interview, both scheduled on the same day. But sometime it happens that they ask you to appear in technical interview, then it comes to CNC. Okay, so in the initial phase of the interview, if I were to talk about my own interview, they will the position you are working from last 2 or 3 years, and also know about your graduations. Like, for example, if you did masters in recent years, then they are pretty much interested in that. Okay, after the interview, if they think that you are so much talent, then they write a positive report for you and send to the professional panel, and the panel will decide that either they will refer you, or they which is known as a chartered engineer, then they will notify you in 1 month. And this whole process requires sustainability related to your knowledge. Also, it requires patience, because this whole application phase covers 1 year, that
One year.
if you are good. So the one thing which I need to mention here, with most of the guys don't know, those are applying for the chartered engineer application, that if you fail their minimum criteria, like if you submit the technical report and you fail the minimum criteria, which is linked with the material energy balance, chemical thermodynamics, process safety, and you know um chemical engineering principles, then they will reply you, and you need you submit the report on third time, then your application will automatically be dropped, and you have to file another application. So if you go through the technical report 3 times, then the fourth time you fail to comply with their rules, then your application will be dropped. The same will be happen to the CNC report. So this whole process is not really easy, and if you think that you are much capable of that, and you can go through this, and you have good writing skills, because when you are writing, you need to think about the reader, because if you use that words which is not by the which write that those words for which the reader don't follow you, then it will create a troublesome echo during this application process. And as far as the chartered engineer demonstration is concerned, a chartered engineer looks like but at an international level, and is recognized and professionally registered. And it shows that the chartered engineer has effective communication, technical matters, and skill sets which is necessary to develop other technical stuff like mentorship. I also involved in the mentorship from ICAM as a volunteer, and I've been working with them from last 6 months, and it's a very amazing and good experience. And also the chartered engineer demonstrate good theoretical knowledge of course during an interview on their reports. So that's the whole procedure which I have explained. Thank you.
Uh-huh. I see that you need to have not only experience but also very very patience, right? Uh, you need to want to get part of that for sure. But it is only one of the certification that you have. You have many others, and you have mentioned some of them. And to you, how important is to the chemical process engineer add titles to his career and certifications? What is your point of view?
Titles and professional certifications are very important to boost up your career. Like for example, if you have already 5 year experience and you want to do something, you are not goal seated, then you must go through this processes to get good in the market, and it shows that your commitment to your profession is exceptional. And you also plan your CPD points, because most of the professional certifications requires the CPD points, which covers the trainings, certifications, and also the workshops you take, or about your trainings. So if you are leading a project and you are think that you are best in that, and you can demonstrate your skills, then you must go for certifications. Like other certifications, it depends or varies from organization to organizations. Like if anybody working in a food industry, then he will not supposed to do the oil and gas certifications. So it depends that, or it needs individual who to know that in your field what certifications matters the most, and you have to work on it then. Mostly which I have been involved in the certifications depends on the exams, because exam is a challenge itself. And if you pass the exam, then you have the guts, and uh, you have you have the thrill to challenge some big guys in the market. Okay, so the second thing I want to discuss here is related to the free certifications. For that, you have to see the LinkedIn and other social networks to know that what are the free certifications there. Most of the free certification also requires the exam. Like if I talk about the HISIS user certification exam, it requires 4 hours of continuous sitting, and you have to attempt the basic theoretical as well as lab exam to get that certificate. So you have to see that in which skills you are good, and you need to just boost up to another level. So certifications are good for your career as well as for your earnings. When you have good certifications, and then the employer will see your profile through from two perspective. One is that you have already trained and you have certified. The second is that employer will not invest his money on you, and you are already prepared, so you will take the office from day one. So that's the perspective of getting the certifications.
Nice, nice. And what I got from it's important, and you should, if you can do, you should do, but make sure, guys, and I talk to the audience that is seeing us. Make sure that you choose certifications that is aligned to your career. As Hassan said, if you plan to work with oil and gas, or if you already work with oil and gas, doesn't make any sense to do a food certification if you don't plan to do on that, or if you don't have experiences on that. And Hassan, finally, you suggest me the Industry 4.0 subject, and to me it is a little bit abstract. I work with plan design, and I don't see a direct application to my activities. But I'm not saying that I'm right. Okay, you have prepared the presentation for us, very nice, and thanks for your kindness. So please tell us what is Industry 4.0, and if you have your presentation ready, feel free to share with us.
Okay, so I'm going to share my presentation with the audience. Okay, so Have you seen Jefferson?
Yes, it's sharing
Uh,
already.
So, okay, Industry 4.0 is a very vast field, and as it is written here, that it is the intelligent networking of machines and processes for industry with the help of information and communication technology. And Industry 4.0 is not something you realize overnight because there are many other departments which is linked with it, and the process engineering part is like uh, you can say a one coin of this industry 4.0. So the basic work is related to the electronics engineer, IT engineer, and instrumentation engineers. The performance part is linked with the process engineering skills. So okay, so I'm going to discuss a little bit related to the generations, as the name suggests that it's industry 4.0 means that it's fourth generation uh, industrialization. And Let me explain you from the first generation that what happens in the first, second, and third, and then I will move to this figure and explain you further. Okay, so the first generation, which is the steam power and water power mechanization, then it moves to the mass production assembly line and the electricity, and then the internet came to the market as the third generation as computer and automation. Then it comes to the cyber physical systems, which covers mostly in the processing industries, linked with the historian, and then there is a software link which for data analytics. So as you see is that there are many industries and many work which is linked, which can be linked with industry 4.0, like IoT, industrial internet of things, which is totally an electronic subject. Robotics, mechatronics engineer can do that. Augmented reality is also linked with these two subjects. Big data analytics can be linked with the process engineering. 3D cloud computing, like if somebody attend the HISIS course, he can understand that how the ASPENTAG use the cloud computing for the exams, like system integration. System integration, there are many types of system integration. Like if we talk about integration of your simulator with the historian, then it's a system integrated, or you can say that it's 4.0 skills. And then the cyber security and simulation, of course. So for the smart industry, like industry 4.0, we talk, there is a smart factory. It's an automatic, you can enable the automatic decision making processes, monitor assets and processes in real time system. So industry 4.0 is like you enter the raw material and automatically you get the desired product. You just enter your relative specs here. Factories which developing the small technical parts can be upgraded to the industry 4.0. So this covers the further details of the things which I have already discussed, like advanced robotics. There is things as an example, it is written here for additive manufacturing, 3D printing, 3D facilities, augmented reality. Most of the audience have already experienced this during movie watching in cinema. Then the simulation, there are many softwares in if you talk about the simulation, like Aviva Pro to process engineering, Aspen, HYSYS, Petro, various software simulation. You have to choose that um, uh, what software is cheap, and what software uh, can fulfill your desired objective, because simulation without an objective is a simulation. You cannot add life in the simulation if you don't have the objective. Then goes to the horizontal vertical integrations, industrial internet of things, cloud computing, cyber security, like most of the systems are integrated with firewalls to hurdle the spacious activities. like the big data and analytics. Today we will talk about this big data and analytics and how can we achieve our desired um, res- which is obviously linked with the process engineering. Okay, I'm going to explain an interface overview of the system. Like most of you guys know about the DCS, distributed control system, which can be from Honeywell, Foxborough, Yokogawa, any company. They have their own experience servers, historians. So what is you need a historian which is connected with the uh, DCS, like both are compatible. Like if I talk about Honeywell DCS and Honeywell historian, both are compatible and they can join easily. Then there is a buffer server which takes data from the experience and server. The shadow server is the main server which stores data here from the DCS. Like if I talk about DCS, then there are various process monitoring parameters and tags like pressure, temperature, flows are showing on the HMI human man interface screen, and then this tag then transported to the shadow server. Mostly companies uses the firewalls or you can be limited with the one firewall. Okay, so then this shadow server then link with the IT enterprise, and from where you can see the data on your screen of or your computer. So from this DCS data, you can take the data from the DCS and then move it into the your computer screen. So for looking at a bulk of data, you must have some softwares to get the data analytics with different time periods, because there is not always a troubleshooting at the plant, and you have to see the specific trend or time period. Then you must have some interface for that. So there are companies like Aspen Assays have IP21 for that, OCSoft have Pi, Process Information Software, Honeywell have PhD, this server is called PhD Studio, this software is UPS, Uniformance Performance Studio, or Process Studio. So for through UPS, I'm going to show you some screenshots of the UPS to understand that how you can analyze the troubleshootings and before and after activity applications. So this is the small introduction of this interface, and now I'm going to show you that how you can see the live fields on your PC. Okay, these are all the things which I've already discussed in the previous slide, and the question is here that what is important for a process engineer, because this is all related to the instrumentation, then how it is linked with the process engineering. So for a process engineer, process monitoring is the most important application for its job, and for that you need some tools to do that. So here it is. For the confidentiality, I just remove the tags, and it does not matter there are tags or not. So I just use the product deals here. So first of all, I'm going to introduce this software for you. This is the UPS, and you see that this is the environment from where you can save your trends. Okay, you can start with a new sheet here, and there is a browser from where you can search your tag from the DCS. You just do drag and drop option, and you will see here. So you see that there is a time period starting and ending, from where you can choose that if you want to see 1 month data, 2 months data, and for how many period. And if you want to fields or live sessions of live data from the DCS, then you can just click this green button and you will see that this trend starts spiking up and spiking down. So coming back to the previous slide, here you can see that you have hairlines and to analyze the data trends, and you can also save it to the Excel and paste or copy it to your email to send to your seniors about the trend you have. Okay, how it is linked with the process engineering? What I did here is that I use simple calculation of yields. For example, we are working in a refinery, and we have various products like residue, gas oil, kerosene, naphtha, heavy naphtha, light naphtha, and gases. And we want to see the live yields. And how will we do that? We have a data coming from the DCS, then we can use the virtual tax obviously, and we can also put the formulas in the you can say in the tax, in replacement of the tax to get that. So then we will link it with the DCS, and we will write, for example, this is 15.29 is the residue, and it's live. And you will see that your diesel is 37 weight percent, 26% kerosene, naphtha 18%, and gas is 2.47. For example, you changes the crude, you are required to change the conditions of process plant to get the to get the desired yield. So obviously your yields will be disturbed, and there is always two or three or more than four blends which is used in crude feed, and there are various crudes with different APIs, and you need to analyze that is how the behavior is of the crude, and how much diesel, which is the most profitable product, um, we can achieve. So this tool will not only help you do that, but also you can employ this tool on different process equipments. Like if you want to know about your overhead system, like you want to calculate the efficiency of air coolers, then you can employ the formulas here, and you can see the live performance of the equipments. Like for example, heat exchangers, you can put the delta P's and the process parameters, which are more important to analyze. So for the process monitoring, this is the best tool to understand, and it of daily monitoring and going to the plant. Also, obviously, it is necessary to go to the plant and see what is happening, but it saves your time of getting or snatching data from the DCS by hand and then move to the Excel and put it that, and there is no need for it. So in the next slide, I'm going to discuss an example of the hydrogen heat exchangers, and I'm going to show that how before and after activity you can analyze with the trends. So you can see that most of you guys knows that in the hydrotreater there are various reactions like hydrodesulfurization, nitrification, dehydrogenatification, and chlorine, chloride, halogen removal, and metals removal. So if you have nitrogen, then it converts into ammonia, and if you also have a chloride, then it creates a ammonium chloride. And then when it moves from the reactor to the downstream exchangers, when the dew point is achieved, then it starts choking your exchangers. So the best and parameter to know about the exchanger choking is the delta P, obviously. So you see that here the delta P is higher than normal, because the normal limit of the delta P is that. So one of the engineer knows that the delta P is higher. Now we take some steps here. We have a built-in system of steam or the condensate flushing to the exchangers. We just started this condensate flushing in the exchanger by an external mill here. As you see that there, the hydrofluid is also at the decreasing trend due to this delta P, because you know that delta P exerts the force which reduces the mass flow to the system. So in this region, we used this steam lancing or condensate flushing, and then you see that this delta P is reduced to back to the normal again. So the thing which was uh, used to choke the exchanger as we move from the condensate flushing. So from where you can further analyze that the before trend is this and after trend is this. Now the system is normalized, and you can also analyze from this trend that the high increasing. It means that the second notation is if the transmitter is faulty and giving you the false indication, then you can analyze. If you have a good experience, then the hydrofluid is increasing. It shows you that removing the delta P from the exchanger, higher delta P, then your feed is increasing. So in this way, you can analyze various scenarios with this tool. This is one of the scenario I'm discussing here, but you can do pretty much things in this with the help of this tool. So let's move. Okay, you can also do or analyze various trends at one time. So there is an option available. This tool is not very difficult for you. It is very easy and it can be used by any process or entry level or mid level engineer. So there is no need to train yourself for this. You can just have to uh, do you have you also have a the simulation skill also supports you for this to understand this simulation tool. Okay, so here I use a residual flow. In this session, the gas was kerosene. I can edit the names as I need, and I can add as far as or uh, 4 to 8 trends here, or it depends upon the license also. If I'm using the standard license, and if you have a premium, then you can do much better than that. Also, you can develop your own HMI if you, for example, want to know or want to develop a furnace here, and you want to show the actual HMI on the DCS HMI on this software and analyze the data. Okay, this is another example here. This example is related to the heat exchanger, and as you see that this line is the inlet pressure of the heat exchanger, and this blue line is the outlet pressure of the heat exchanger, and this orange line is the delta P. Suppose you are an engineer in a refinery, and you get to know from the saga that the crude you bought have a high percentage of asphaltene in the tanks, and you know that this asphaltene when moves from the desalter then choke the secondary heat exchangers. Then you start analyzing the trends of the heat exchangers, and you gradually get to know that the trend is started increasing, and asphaltene is going to choke the exchanger. Then you will start working on that, and this working is before the actual time comes, and you therefore professionally plan for its cleaning and try to remove the feed from the plant or use an alternate feed so that your exchangers will not require to clean again and again. And also you can also shortlist the crudes or blacklist the crudes, depends on the performance. Then as you see that if I then when we clean the exchangers, then it gets back to the normal operating pressure. Okay, when we talk about the feed exchangers, if there is something bad happened with the exchangers and after the your crude pump and it obviously um, increases the operating cost of the unit. So in this way, you can do various scenarios generation with respect to the conditions you have at your plant, and you can either you use this UPS or any other software. This data analytics software boost up your process monitoring and will give you the correct results. Most of the times, the instrument was not working correctly and give you a false report. Then you can analyze here that what process trends are interlinked with the instrumentation, and you can accordingly um, plan for its rectification. Okay, So this tool integrated with the Excel, and there is an uniformance Excel tool here. Okay, with the Excel, you can develop an automatic, like for the process monitoring, you link every tag of the with the sheet and process manometers from this sheet, and you can also create some dashboards as per your skills, asset monitoring interfaces, and is that you can uh, interlink this uniformance with the simulator. Like if I talk about the Unisim design, then Unisim design and S1S is also as a Excel interface and is a uniformance which is also as a interface, and both can be interlinked with the Excel tool, and you can get good results with the UPS and with the simulator. Then you can deviate or see the deviations in the yields and other process parameters and take the steps accordingly. So in this way, you can do the Industry 4.0 process engineering, and this is a small introduction. And if you have tools in hands, then you can work better than that. So thank you very much.
That was for sure a lot of information, Hassan. A lot of information.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that they were prepared for that. But guys, the video will be available to you here. And once the YouTube process that, it will be available in my YouTube channel. No problem about that. And just I will try to do some comments based on what you said to us, okay? Hassan, just to make try to make more clear to the guys that are here. The one of the areas of the industry 4.0 is big data, and we can use that to link the plant with the Excel and with the process simulation in order to verify issues related to the plant. And what I have seen that you list some variables to your process, and you can identify the trouble, what's happening, what's the problem. And when you did an action, you can verify if you solved the problem or not. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. And you can further do it with the if you have a planning software, then you can integrate further with the Aspen PIMS. Like you take the yield from your process simulator. Your process simulator takes the data from the DCS, and you give the yields to the your planning software.
Okay.
So these three softwares can be interlinked together.
And let me ask you, what is the, or just to you emphasize again, okay? What are the benefits of using the Industry 4.0? And most important, people are afraid of losing jobs, right? Or how to prepare better for getting a job. So how the chemical process engineer can get ready for Industry 4.0 skills?
It is not related to job which is losing from you, and I think that Industry 4.0 is a kind of boost up with respect to the process monitoring. If we talk about the process engineering, because in the past when people goes to the plant and then go to the field and data, and then come back to the office and input data from the plant, and they have already Excel calculators from where they can extract the performance. With this industrial process engineering skills, you can you need less time to do a better job. And also it's not linked with the job, because just to run that, obviously if you are entry level, that nobody will uh, you can say nobody will ask you to run it, because your initial training is linked with the plant, and most of the time you have to spend on the plant. and working on the process lines with different process parameters. Then in the next phase, when you have knowledge and experience and you can understand better the process parameters, then can analyze through these tools better. For example, if your PhD is disconnected, okay, for example, and now the trend is showing downward. And if you don't have skills, then you see that the plant is shut down, and you go to the plant and you see that everything is okay. So it depends on your skills, and it has nothing related with the job.
The Industry 4.0 is a tool, right? And the tool depend
Yeah.
depend who is using that, if it will be good or more good or
Industry
less good.
4.0 is a very vast field.
Mhm.
It's word, but a small part is linked with which can be linked with the process engineering is the data analytics. So what I have discussed here is linked only with the data analytics.
Are you familiar with artificial intelligence and data science? I have a question for Hermant Kumar, and his question is how artificial intelligence and data science is important in process engineering. Do you know anything about that?
Uh, Artificial intelligence. I don't have much knowledge about it. Maybe I can give after searching.
No, no problem. Okay, no problem. Don't worry about that. And
Yeah.
guys, we are talking aqui, sorry, we are talking here about Industry 4.0, and Hassan has a long experience with that and with the plant operations, and he's showing to us how to connect that with the life of a chemical process engineer. And our objective is here, and we don't know everything. There are a lot of things that I don't know, and I have learned a lot from Hassan with this presentation. So don't be ashamed, my friends. I don't know everything, and anyone knows. And one thing, you work with operations. You most of your activities with your plant operations. In your point of view, I have the same another question from Remark. Which skills is most important in process engineering? In your point of view, it can be. What do you think?
Okay. So the most important skills which I believe as a student and as a learner is the process simulation skills, because this simulation skills you can acquire from the university doing your bachelor's, and then it moves to your master's if you have any project in the process simulation. Other than that, this process simulation will work only for you if you have a plant experience, because you must have a plant experience to interconnected your simulations with it to know that how much or how good as a simulator you are. Because if, for example, if I take example of any refinery and I see that there are process engineers and they are working on a crude unit model and they simulated the model, okay, so there are yields coming from the model, and you have a plant. And if your plant yields are different from the model which you are having, then obviously there are some flaws and there are some improvements required for the plant model to tune it to get the desired results. So there is also an experience and a skills. Experience and skills both work for you. If you have skills of process simulation, then your experience will enhance you to become.
Okay. And Hassan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And we are going to the end of this live session. Thanks a lot for your time. And I have just some few questions for you. The first thing is that you are also a Institute Chemical of Engineer speaker, and I will do a presentation. I think in the next week to Philippines, and which kind of advices you could to me, and how is it to be a Irish speaker. Please help me because next week I will do this to Philippines people.
Oh, that's great hear. And it's very easy to become their speaker. All you need to do is to have a professional experience, and you need to sign it with Ike. And after that, you will apply for their volunteering program as a university guest speaker. So for that, you must have you can say which you have done recently, as you are mentioning that you are going to become a speaker in some of the university event. Then don't forget to take your photos, and then these photos will help you to become a volunteer as a university guest speaker at the platform.
Okay, very nice.
And for this is a recommendation. I will recommend you to stay focused on your topic, because most of the students ask you questions which you even don't know about that.
Okay, I will try to get prepared for that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And you have a YouTube channel also, and it is named Smart Process Engineering. And guys, I
Yes.
really recommend you to take a look on that. I will add the link to your YouTube channel in the description of this video. I forgot about that, but I will do that. And what people can expect it, or what are your plans to your YouTube channel? Can you share with us a little bit?
Okay, so my channel name is Smart Process Engineering. I started with the videos of Aspen Hysis and some videos from the Novel. Okay, Novel is a tool which not only contains media or the books and research patterns, but also they have a interactive tool sheet which can be used by the process engineers in their daily work. They have formulas automatically sign in, and what you need is just to change the inputs from the sheet, and you will get the results. And it's a very good interactive sheets. Most of my videos cover informative technical sheets, and I will recommend my audience to also see my channel and subscribe it. And now my plan is to go for the dynamic simulations, and I will start publishing the dynamic work in a routine that everyone can take benefits from it. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, we are finishing this presentation. Thanks a lot, Hassan. Thanks a lot, because
Thank you.
you accepted my invitation at the first time. We just discussed about the best topic for the people that are following us. And guys, let me know, you will be able to share the presentation in your LinkedIn. People can wait for that, or it's only here.
Yes, I can share it on my channel also if you allow me.
Nice. So, guys, go to the YouTube channel from Hassan, and also follow him in the LinkedIn, and he will share the presentation that he did for our live session. So, thanks again, my friend. And it was very, very nice to have you in the Saturday morning here in Brazil. In Pakistan, about tonight, afternoon tonight, right? And if you have, I would like you to share some last words or some advices for people that is starting their career as chemical process engineer. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. And my advice to all the audiences and the chemical engineering students who are still working in the universities, that try to focus on the chemical engineering, thermodynamics, and reaction engineering, because these two subjects are very important for building up your nature and your becoming a process engineer. And the subject I will give is related to the maintenance of the CPD, to maintain your CPD and record it. From day one, when you get a job, a full-time job, you start working in any organization, you take projects from user and try to complete it in within timeline, and then write it down on your built-in Excel sheets, because recording this CPT will further help you in your career when you have 5 year or 6 year experience. This recorded CPT will develop your CNC report for the route to chartered engineer. So that's my recommendation. And thank you very much for Jefferson for giving me this opportunity to speak here. And also, this is my first live session, as I mentioned. And thank you very much.
Okay, Hassan, see you soon. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye, Hassan.
Bye bye.
So, guys, this is it. I'll see you soon in the next live session.